Welcome, everyone, to Communicate Now, where we talk about all things related to effective communication skills, everything from sales to networking, leadership, negotiation, and my personal favorite, how to win friends and influence people. Today, we have a special guest, David Summerly. David is a veteran salesman in the roofing industry, currently working in the roofing and storm restoration space at Square Dash. He and his girlfriend also run a company called SummerLink. We met at the Win the Storm conference in Dallas, Texas. That's a whole other story too. There was a ton of networking going on there. I loved it. Welcome to the podcast, David. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing awesome. Good talking to you.
Great, great. So you just came back from a Tony Robbins conference.
That's right. UPW.
Tell me about that. What was that like?
UPW is awesome. So I got into Tony Robbins when I guess I was 20, 21, something, I guess around that time. My dad had passed away and I saw an late night infomercial for his stuff. And so I went on there, ordered the CD set, and I listened to those over and over again. And that really made a huge difference in my life. And so my dream is to go to a Date with Destiny conference of his. That's kind of the next step after UPW. So this is actually my third UPW, but my girlfriend had never done it. So I went ahead and signed us up a while back so that we could do one together.
Great. Well, that must have been interesting going with your girl because there's a different dynamic there. Because I know there, it's almost like a spiritual event for some people. You know?
Yeah, some people. For me, it's whole life. It's everything. It's they hit every area of your life, what you're eating, your meditation, which I struggle with meditation. They go over all that kind of stuff. It's transformation. It's not motivation. It's not pump you up and then you leave and go do nothing with your life. It's really a life transformation thing to pull out the old negative limiting beliefs or belief systems they call BS, and then to then replace them with good positive beliefs that are going to help you move forward in life.
Yeah. And I always say to people that I'm coaching that, when you're getting from where you are to where you want to go, it's you're actually transforming yourself. You're not going to be the same person when you reach your goal. And sometimes that might be a little bit scary for people. They don't want change. But it's just so important that we step out of our comfort zone and take action. You
That's
seem like a guy that takes action too. So
Yeah. I'm a driver. It's
you're a driver, yeah.
yeah, if you look at my strengths or whatever, an achiever was my top one. So I've always
Really?
had to be an achiever, and it's benefited me. So
That's good. That's good. And of course, you're a veteran salesman. I mean, I took a look at your LinkedIn. I took a look at your Facebook. Yeah, you've had a lot of sales positions, and it's primarily in the roofing industry. Is that correct?
yeah, so I worked at a company called Hantover for like 6 years straight in sales and tried to be loyal. And after 6 years of loyal service, number one or number two every single month, got fired and realized, oh man, so much for that loyalty, right? I had a great
Yeah.
boss. He got promoted up. The new boss came in and was awful. And that guy's already been fired from there and went out in a really bad way. But in the end, it was at the same time like, oh my God, I lost my job. And at the same time, freedom because I had been at that job for 6 years and not really happy there. And I went into selling marketing, and getting into selling marketing, I realized that roofers had big ticket. And so they could afford to pay for our marketing services
Yeah.
more than a lot of other companies. And so I started specializing in just roofing. And in so doing, I ended up one of the companies that I sold split off between their two halves. And the second half called me in, and I thought I was going to sell another marketing package, and it was a job interview. So they ended up telling me that I need about 5 minutes of training on a roof, and that was all they needed to teach me. And sure enough, that's what I got. So here
So
I am today, after
are,
a lot of training in other parts of the industry, just trying to learn from everybody I can.
are you saying that you thought you were going in for a sales call and
Yep.
it was, I mean, not a prank, but it was a bit of a trick and came in
Yeah.
for an interview?
Yeah. So they told
Ah,
me that they had split off. The other company was new construction. They were the build or the install only for a bunch of other companies. And what they were trying to do is turn into a sales organization. And so they needed me to come in and talk to them. And I thought I was going to sell them another marketing package. And then
Yeah.
I show up there and they're like, no, 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 you don't understand. Every time we call you, you answer the phone or you call us right back. Every time you talk to us, it's clear that you actually care about us and you're not just trying to get a quick sale. You're the kind of person we're looking for to be in front of our clients.
Yeah.
And so we need you to come here and help us. And we also are not great at social media stuff. And I've been looking at your social media, so you can help us in that area too.
Yeah, I noticed that you have a big presence on social media, actually. You got every single social media platform you can think of. You got X, well, it used to be Twitter. You got Instagram, you got Facebook. And one thing I'll say about you, it's interesting what you said there, because when I first met you, the one thing that I noticed is that you seemed very genuine and authentic.
Thank you.
And that is just so important to have in an organization, because yeah, you can get some salesmen out there that are really slick speakers, but how much are they going to be able to keep them as long-term customers if they don't build up that trust? Because I think the point in sales is that you want to keep these guys for 10, 20, 30, possibly 40 years, depending on who they refer you to, and
Right.
building those
Absolutely.
relationships in your life. And I noticed that on your LinkedIn, it said, I connect with people, or I help connecting with people. And so you
Yeah.
seem like a people person.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. There's been times where other salesmen have kind of given me a hard time because in their head, I'm not a great salesman because in
Yeah.
their head, everything is like car sales. You know, you're trying to do one over on somebody, you're trying to be slick, all these techniques, and that's just not how I've ever operated. And every time I've gone into a sale, it's how can I help this person? How can I serve this person? And I think or feel that my customers recognize that and that that's why they buy from me. It's not because I was some slick salesman that had some technique to twist their arm and get them to sign, if that makes sense.
Yeah, oh, it does make sense, because some people are real slick with that, but how long can you carry that act on
They have
for?
a they have a
And
high turnover rate, whereas I have a high retention rate.
yeah, that's exactly it, you know. And another thing that I noticed about you also is you do have charisma. I mean, not over the top. I do have quite a bit of charisma because I am hosting the show,
Mhm.
but how do you think charisma plays into your sales process?
So, I just love people. I don't know. I'd be surprised to see me where I am today if I were looking for it as a child. I was literally left for dead, and you'd think that I wouldn't really be able to communicate with people at all. I mean, they say failure to thrive syndrome. Kids that are not touched, loved, looked into their eyes, talked to as their babies, those kids die, like literally die. I shouldn't even be
Yeah.
alive, according to science. And growing up, my adopted mom was a wreck. She loved me to death, but she was just a mess. Lots of drugs, lots of alcohol. And what I ended up having to do was go out and knock doors so that I could mow lawns, go and talk to shopkeepers to see if I could sweep their floors, whatever I could to make money to eat. And in the process of that, I just learned how to talk to regular everyday people.
Wow, that's thanks for sharing that with me, because that's a lot of vulnerability, and you obviously put trust in me to talk about that. That definitely, I would imagine, has turned you into the person that you are now.
It's everything that has happened to me has happened for me, and I've been very grateful for that. I had to learn to be grateful. For a little while, I was a little bit bitter about some things. Maybe that's some of that's still there somewhere, but for the most part, I have learned to everything that has happened to me help make me more empathetic for other people, help make me so that I can be happier because I know how great I have it now.
Yeah,
And so I'm just happy and thankful, and it's just been a good life.
that's so great to hear. Everyone loves a zero to hero story, because it gives inspiration for people that are going through dark times in our lives. And, some people never receive that inspiration at all. So, some people that are watching this interview, it may even just change the trajectory of their lives forever from one simple thing that you say. And that's why I'm here. That's why I have this podcast. And that's why I bring people like you on, you know. And
Yeah,
hopefully we get your girlfriend on too, because she has a great story as
she's
well.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be great. I hope you do.
You guys are so great together, man. So, Yeah, wow. It gets into you can get into deep discussions here. One interesting thing that you said about gratitude is I was practicing um, writing gratitude lists. And so what I did is I would write them every morning and every night. And I would add something. I would write all the same things I did the day before, but then I would add more things, anything that I can think of. And something interesting happened after about a month. I ran out of things to write about myself, and I started writing about things that I was grateful for that my friends and family had accomplished. So all of a sudden, I started getting out of my own self-serving mindset, thinking about what and hoping for the best in others. And that gave me a sense of freedom in my life. So I just wanted to share that as
Really?
you mentioned gratitude, because I know that the exercises and transformation that Tony Robbins goes through. I don't know if it's exactly like that. I haven't been through any of his workshops, but I know that they do use some methods like that in order to create a change in
Yeah,
yourself. Is
absolutely.
that right? Did you?
I'm not so sure on that one because that technique, that's I hadn't really thought about doing it that way. That's pretty neat. I
Yeah,
like that idea. I'll
yeah,
have to try and practice that a little bit. But UPW is more about just taking out those old beliefs, bringing in new ones, and then also just living a healthy life and those kind of things. And then as you progress through his other courses, you end up learning additional things. He's got a business mastery, wealth mastery, date with destiny, all those kind of things.
that's right. Yeah, he has moved into the realm of business, definitely. And I'm sure he's made some people very successful. I'm sure that includes yourself.
Yeah, it's pretty neat stuff. He actually owns, I think it's like 7 different, I don't remember, maybe it's a lot more, quite a few of the, like, Fortune 500 companies, and d he's been very successful.
Yeah. Hey, mate, can you get him on my podcast? I mean,
There
let's
we
see what
go.
we can do here.
Yeah, he's just like $1 million a day, so no
Oh
problem.
yeah, I know. Yeah, well, that's easy money for me, man. It's no big deal. So what did you love the most about the Win the Storm conference in Dallas? Just for the people watching here, I'm just gonna explain. Win the Storm conference is a conference down in Dallas, Texas. It's 3 days. There's a ton of motivational speakers, everyone involved in the roofing industry. I had a booth there where I was selling products. It's very enjoyable, very motivational. And so, yeah, how did you like the Win the Storm conference in Dallas?
Dude, Josie Parks did an amazing job just turning that whole thing around. The vibe was awesome. I talked to a lot of the old school employees that were there before. The consistent thing I heard from them was that they finally feel supported,
Yeah.
and they hadn't felt that before. And they just made a total shift. The whole I honestly, I wasn't sure that they could do that. And I was pleasantly surprised by the result. Didn't doubt them by any means, but I was questioning, how are you going to take a brand that was the way it was, kind of negative, kind of the old school roofer that we're trying to get away from. I think there's a shift. I don't want to insult Gen X or baby boomers. They were living the life they were living because of what they experienced, and not all of them are the same. But kind of the old school roofer, drugs and alcohol and women and those kind of things, which you may still love those things, each individual person, but the whole vibe was not that great. And a lot of people were shifting away from a conference that had brought a lot of the industry together. And so to see Josie come in and completely shift it to where it's family friendly, it's more like inspirational leadership focused, more like RoofCon.
Yeah.
I was psyched. I was super psyched. And then even Roofing Insights came in and joined in, and they've got kind of that leadership type of vibe as well, with a twist of the health stuff and exercise and those kind of things. So then seeing everybody come together is just awesome.
Yeah. It was
I'm
great.
excited. The millennial leadership coming up in our industry now is just going to make a complete change to the way the entire industry not only operates, but the way it's looked at from the outside, I think.
That's really interesting too, because I mean, I'm a millennial. I'm 39, so I'm still right at the cusp of being a millennial. And I remember when everyone said millennials are so lazy, they're so entitled, they're not going to be able to do this or that. Okay, yeah, parts of that are definitely true. We're very digitally inclined, whereas the older generation might not know how to send a text on a phone. But maybe I'll edit that out of the video. But we still do a damn I think we still do a damn good job. And hey, Gen X, they were doing best They were doing the best they could with the resources they had, and they lived a difficult life. Everything is much easier for us now. Well, depending on your situation, but I think that with the internet and the new technology that we do have a certain privilege at this time in our life, and so it may have rubbed off on millennials, but nonetheless, there are some uh, great values that millennials have, and I think they really brought that to the table, like you explained with Josie Parks. And wow, did he pump me up?
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was really good. I think you and I are we're in a fortunate position because we had the influence of the baby boomers and the Gen Xers and the hard work ethic
yeah,
that we're still expected of us because we're
yeah,
older millennials.
yes,
But then we had all of the technology we were able to grow up with because that came into place when we were just getting out of elementary school. And
yeah,
so I grew up with a computer in my house through elementary school, and then during high school is when email and internet and all that stuff kind of blew up. And so I've been able to take the hard work that I learned from the people who came before me and combine it with the technology, and what a difference that makes. Hard
yeah.
work alone will not get you there. You need the hard work, but without it, you got to have both.
You got to have both. Yeah. When you can use technology properly, man, does that make a difference in your business? Because it just shortens the time span that you have, because you have to wear so many hats when you have a
Oh, yeah.
business. You have the administration hat, you have the leadership hat, then you have to have the hands-on stuff. And to just remove some of those hats and shorten the time period with certain tasks that you have with software just makes such a big difference, gets rid of many headaches.
Yeah, AI, automation, VAs, outsourcing, everything you can do to take the things off of you that you're not good at so that you can focus on the things that you are.
Yeah, perfect. And like, look at this. We have Zoom where we can have a podcast like this and talk about business and talk about
Amen.
entrepreneurship and leadership and sales and everything that excites the audience that are watching this right now. What an impact I can have that way. And that's a way that we can use technology to our advantage for the good. And
Yes,
now
sir.
I want to just talk a little bit about, because did you see any of the speakers? Because I watched Tim Grover and I watched James Lawrence. So Tim Grover was a motivational speaker at the conference there, and he was Michael Jordan's mental coach and Kobe Bryant's mental coach. And then
That's
there
right.
was James Lawrence, and he did 100 Ironman triathlons in 100 days. I've never seen anything like that. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I was those the two speeches actually I got to watch were those two. The rest of the time I was just networking.
Yeah,
Um so the I mean, I can't even imagine doing the 101 one triathlon, let alone 101. He did
yeah,
100 in 100 days, and then he just went and did one for the heck of it afterwards.
yeah,
And that's just insane.
yeah,
And I love that. I don't know in the general session what he said, but in the VIP session I was in, he talked about his mental health and how it had negatively impacted his mental health.
yeah,
And that, I mean, the vulnerability of him to go out and speak about those things was awesome. I think that most men do not feel comfortable doing that. And
yes.
men like him that are leaders need to stand up and say the truth. And that way other people feel the courage to be able to go get help if they need it.
Yes, yeah. And we've had major advancements in psychology within the last 50 years, and it has recently made a big change with the studies that have been done. And so, yes, I think you're correct. So long as the vulnerability leads to some type of solution and action that is taken, that's the biggest part. Because I think some men or some people may, especially the older generation, will look at vulnerability and they'll say, well, it's a sign of weakness. Well, I think it can be an excuse only if they use it to choose not to do anything about it. But if they
Right.
use it and they say, I'm ready to change, I'm ready to put in hard work and make a difference, that is definitely a strength.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to have somebody just sitting around whining all the time forever without wanting to try and make a difference and a change in their life. You got to find that balance in between there. You
yeah,
you don't want to be the guy who,
yeah,
will never open up, never be vulnerable, never tell the truth, and then versus the guy that just whines all the time. You got to be willing to move your life forward and make a difference, and I don't know, just be something more for the world because otherwise you're just being selfish.
yeah. And that reminds me of, actually right now just started reading the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership written by John Maxwell. So I just read the first chapter and I've done research on it. He's done over 10,000 talks, okay? Presentations, talks. Incredible speaker. And he always talks about the servant leader, because he always talks about leadership, and that when you're leading, you don't just want to lead followers, you want to lead leaders. So you want to train leaders. And
That's
how
right.
has leadership played a role in your career so far?
Yeah. So when I was younger, people saw potential in me to be a leader, and it made me uncomfortable. I remember I was in a network marketing company that I did fairly well at a time where that network marketing company was struggling, and normally hundreds of people would walk stage at the director level. I walked stage as one of six people in the entire world,
Yeah,
and I had put in the work, I had earned it, but I didn't feel like I had because of the way that particular company operates. It all happened at the end very quickly there because the work I'd put in for the years prior all of a sudden compiled upon itself. And so it was hard for me to accept as everyone all of a sudden was referring to me as a leader and looking to me for advice. It was like overwhelming.
yeah,
And so it made me have to grow immediately as a person because I didn't want to let any of those people down.
yeah,
And so that it's it also keeps me where I feel a responsibility and a duty to keep moving forward and to not get lazy or complacent in my life. And so for me, it's super beneficial. Leadership is not about being a boss or being above anyone. It's about, like you said, being a servant and being able to help everyone else move forward. And when you have the right mindset about it, it helps you and everyone else.
yeah. And I always say, because my favorite movie, well, trilogy, is The Lord of the Rings. I don't know if you know anything about it, but Samwise Gamgee is the perfect example of a servant leader. He's the true hero of The Lord of the Rings. I bring that up all the time on my podcast when I talk about leadership, and something that is definitely transferable to being a mother or a father. And I
Yeah,
mean, wow, how important it is, at least for me, to have a positive male figure in my life, because that changed everything about me. I was able
absolutely.
to take responsibility for myself. I was able to, say that, oh, I'm actually capable of doing something more. And after he passed, I had to look. I mean, of course, he's still there, but I wanted to look and find other heroes as well. I'm 39 years old, but I always want to have a hero to look up to. And I think that's so important, and being an example for someone else. And I'm sure you're very excited to be an example for your son or daughter,
Yeah,
when they're
coming on the
possibly
way.
coming sometime, possibly in the future. And
1028, babysummerly.com. Now
yeah,
I was thinking about it recently because my boss, he only hires people who he sees as servant leaders. And
yes,
that's what he looks for before he tries to recruit someone, he's mentioned to me. And then I was also thinking about it because I was watching at the conference Win the Storm, Sam Taggart do something that I saw similarly from Hunter Ballou. Sam Taggart was on the stage after Tim Grover picking up chairs and moving around and making sure that it's not his conference, but he was up there helping.
yeah,
And then Hunter Ballou, we were at Bubba's funeral. It's our friend. He's a roofer. He passed away recently. We were at a kind of an after party thing for his funeral, and Hunter Ballou went in the kitchen and took out the trash because he saw it was full. He just automatically took it out and took it outside. And those are the kind of things that you happen to see with men who or people who are servant leaders.
yeah.
You see that consistently, those kind of behaviors. It's just who they are.
I mean, in the industry that we're in, it is mostly men that are in blue collar professions that we deal with, and that's just why we say that. Um,
Sure.
but yeah, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because it's just such a great topic that I love to talk about, because I'm all about inspiration and inspiring others, because I believe that this is how I look at this podcast. It's a win for you, it's a win for me, and it's a win for everyone watching this. And it can definitely change their lives, because some people feel stuck these days. They may not have role models, and just something that they hear may change their life, and they may decide to take action and realize, well, if he can do it, then I can too.
Right.
You
You
know,
never know what it's going to be.
exactly, exactly. So, I got some more questions here. So, what are some things that you really love about networking? Because this podcast is definitely about networking as well, which has to do with communication. A lot of the people who watch this channel are big on networking. So, what are the things that you love about it?
So the ability to get paid to communicate with people and make friends.
Yeah,
Like What a cool job.
Yeah.
Uh, when I told you earlier about the job I lost, and I freaked out, like, in my head. I was scared, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But happy I was free from a job that I wasn't really happy with. And I went home and I laid back on my bed and I put on Facebook, I, for the first time in 6 years, I need a job. And within 15 minutes I had a job, and it was a good paying job, better paying job than the one I had just lost, all because of a network, because people knew that I worked hard and had a good attitude, and that I seemed to be, of good values, and immediately recommended me for a job. And that was, I mean, that if that doesn't tell you something about networking right there, you know what I mean? But also, like, just having a network, not only are you able to get things from it, but you're able to help other people. And so, like, William Belials just gave me a shout out the other day. He's got a solar company. They do solar all over the country, and he needed a roofer in a certain area. Well, that was able to benefit the roofer, and it's able to help benefit William. Now, I don't get anything out of that deal. Maybe one of them will take me to lunch or something, but eventually one of them's going to have something I need, and it all just comes full circle. If you go out and do the right thing over and over again, it always comes to your benefit.
That's right. And the benefit of everyone else too. And the
Yeah,
greatest negotiators in the world are able to enter a negotiation and leave with everyone thrilled. And that's actually a quote from Dr. Jordan Peterson. When he talks
love
about
him.
effective communicators, and I said in my recent presentation, great communication skills lead to success in every area of your life. And that includes networking with your partner, with your families, with your friends. And if you want to demonstrate compassion or empathy, whatever you want to do, you need those communication skills. And it's in our digital image too. These days, personal branding is a big thing. I like to consider myself, or at least am inspiring to be, what I call a super connector. And a
I
super
like that.
connector is someone that is so connected that they are able to solve people's problems by matching one person that has a problem with another person that has a solution. And there's actually business there as well. This
Yep.
is something that wealthy men and women have known for a long time. When you keep great people in your network and you are able to match them up and you have a reputation of, they say, okay, this person does have values. Like you said, they see that, oh, you have values. He is worth, and he will protect my reputation, sending him over to someone that's going to help with their business. And
Right.
so being a super connector, I think, is such an incredible thing because people respect you. And that's what I'm going to be, either a super connector or a super duper connector. I'll find out which one.
It's the whole basis of my personal job, and it's a big part of my day job. My personal business is Summerlink, and that's what we do, is connect contractors with vendors,
Yeah.
with the things they need, and the right ones at where they're at in their business. And then during my day job, I'm a partner accounts executive. Like, my whole deal is, who do we partner with? Who makes sense to partner with? And we want to have people that are of good values as well. In that, we don't want to be making referrals that don't make any sense.
Yeah. And not everybody can do that. You have to be a people person. You have to be a person that wants to solve others' problems. You have to actually care. You can't have any of those old used car salesman type of techniques
Yep.
that don't generate much trust, and your car will break down as soon as you drive it off the lot. You have to know how to build solid, trusting relationships with people. I've gone blurry on my side of the screen. Oh, there we go.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
I'd
So,
refer someone I didn't even like if it was the right connection, if that makes sense.
oh, interesting. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Because it would be for the benefit of other people and the benefit of them, despite the fact that
Right
you
thing
may
to do.
not. Yeah, that's great. So, one last thing I'd like to ask before we go is there's a lot of people watching this podcast that are brand new to their sales and networking journey, or maybe they're interested in entrepreneurship or jumping into a different career at a later time in their lives and they're a bit concerned. Do you have any words of wisdom or advice, at least from your own personal experience, that you can pass down to them that might help them out with the beginning of their journey?
Yeah. Decide what it is you're trying to go for. Start with the end in mind. Don't just let life happen little by little. Like, get yourself a destination. Like if you got in your car and you needed to go somewhere and you didn't know how to get there, you weren't just going to start driving, right? You're going to put the destination in your GPS so that way you know you're on the right path. So figure out where you're going, why you're going there, if it really is what you really want, and then don't detract from that. Don't If you have to take a detour, cool, but at least you're going to reroute back to the path you were on instead of letting life just take you any direction the wind blows.
Yeah.
You really want to know where you're headed and that it's the right thing for you long term. Start with the end in mind.
Yeah. The goal and then the steps that we have to take to get there, or else we really don't know where we're going. We can end up anywhere.
You got it. That's right.
Yeah. So, David, it was so great to have you on this podcast. I hope to have your girlfriend on soon because she has a great story as well. She told me a little bit of it, and I think that's going to be very inspiring because I need to get more women on my podcast. So, I think it's going to be great.
She'll be honored and excited.
Great, great. So, thanks so much, David. And we're just going to end the recording here. We'll just wave goodbye to the audience.
Thanks, brother.
All right.